This is an individual that was put on medical leave, and he was struggling to use his wrist and hands to grip, and his wrist hurt so bad that he could barely tie his shoes. And after 2 weeks of bracing and resting his wrist like his doctor told him to, his wrists not only hurt even worse than before, but they felt even more stiff. And he made one change to his approach and was able to do a 50 pull-up workout in 4 weeks. In this video, I'm gonna show you what that change was and how you need to use it. And all you need is yourself, a dumbbell, rubber bands, and a tennis ball. I'm Matt, and I'm a doctor of physical therapy, and over the past 8 years, I've helped over 2,500 desk workers, gamers, engineers, artists, anyone that has to use their hands frequently, fix their wrist pain completely without bracing, resting, or changing your ergonomic setup. And almost every time, I've helped people realize the underlying problem with their issue is poor endurance. Here's what I mean. This cup represents how much physical stress your wrist and hand muscles can tolerate. And the water is actually the amount of stress. So whenever we're clicking our mouse, pressing our keys, we're gradually stressing out our muscles. And if we have weird grips of the mouse, awkward postures and ergonomics, then that might mean there's more stress per click, right? So the pores are a little bit more fat. And when there's too much water for the cup to hold, you feel your pain. Because, hey, there's too much water there, there's too much stress, and your muscles can't handle it. So the tendon gets irritated. If you rest, you can actually make more room for stress. But this cup can only handle so much. And when we don't exercise and sit for extended periods of time, this cup can get smaller. And that means it just can't handle as much stress. Instead, we actually want to do the opposite. We want to get bigger because size matters. And you can do this with exercises targeting endurance. This is the truth about wrist pain. In most cases, it's a matter of building up your endurance or cup size. This is why resting, bracing, and medication do not work. So can you guess what the change the person at the beginning of this video made? It's exercise! Today, I'm gonna share some of the best exercises you can do to strengthen your wrist at home and will be able to help you decrease your pain and improve your tolerance to activity. Whatever it is that you love to do with your wrists and hands. The first movement we're going to target is wrist and finger flexion. These exercises will be helpful if you have pain on the palm side of the elbow, forearm, wrist, and even in the knuckle joints themselves. First thing you can do is use a dumbbell if you have a light one at home. Aim for around 3 to 5% of your body weight. So I'm around 150, so 5 to 7 pounds is good for me. We're going to be doing curls all the way down to your fingers, keeping your wrist stable. You can use your armrest, a corner of the table, but the most accessible is your knee. You just have to make sure your shoulders stay active. You'll feel it in the forearm, and you might also feel a little discomfort at the wrist, but it should never be sharp or over 4 to 5 out of 10. And if you do feel that pain, then make sure you go partial range of motion. If you don't have a dumbbell, here are a few options. You can do the same thing with a water bottle. Wider grips can actually make it harder because you have to use your thumb a bit more. You can also use a resistance band, wrapping it around your hand and also performing wrist flexion curls. For no equipment options, you can also resist yourself as you're going down with wrist curls one at a time. I've also shown some cool options you can do against the wall or on the floor in one of my full routine videos. The next movement you can incorporate in your program is wrist extension, and it targets the muscles on the top side of your elbow, forearm, wrist, and hand. Think your tennis elbow type pain. In most cases, performing both wrist flexion and extension will be helpful for any type of wrist pain. Again, you can use the dumbbell stabilizing at the chair, table, or knee. Partial range of motion if you feel any discomfort, and the water bottle as an option if you don't have a dumbbell. Again, you can apply some self-resistance with your fingers open or closed, resisting yourself as you're moving down. My favorite exercise of all that not only targets the wrist extensors but the finger extensors is just using rubber bands. To do this exercise, you can wrap the band around the edge of your fingertips and start with some tension and your fingers bent. Keep your fingers bent the entire time and then open up the fingers to really apply a lot of tension at these tendons. And it's really easy to increase your resistance by adding some more bands. And for all of these exercises, since we're focused on endurance, you want to perform between 15 to 20 repetitions for 3 sets. Radial deviation is the next movement and is helpful for any discomfort you might feel on the thumb side of your wrist. This is common for any activity that requires you to maintain your wrist in this bent up position or repeatedly moving to the left. And for gamers, that might mean flicking to the left. So we'll be performing wrist radial deviations or slowly bending your wrist down and back up. For this, while a dumbbell can work, using something like a hammer or even a frying pan can really increase the resistance. You can choose one that works best for you depending on how strong or weak you are. And similar to the other exercises, you can use a table, chair, your own knees, and one variation I do really like is called a dart deviation. And this is where you actually turn your palm 45 degrees from neutral, holding that dumbbell and performing those curls from there. For those of you with no equipment, again, you can provide some self-resistance as you're moving down through that motion. For wrist ulnar deviation, which involves discomfort on the pinky side of your wrist, and that's any activity that requires you to constantly move your wrist down, like playing guitar, gaming, flicking to the right, crocheting, drawing. And similar to radial deviation, you can use a dumbbell and the same tools. Even a broom or golf club works. But you'll just stand up and hold the dumbbell or whatever tool you're using at the edge and slowly move up and down. And for all these exercises, again, since we're focused on endurance, 15 to 20 repetitions for 3 sets. Pronation and supination is the last movement we're going over and is often less of a problem with desk workers and gamers, but more so with other activities that require rotation of the wrist. And fortunately, you can use all of the same equipment with these movements. Using the hammer as an example, you can hold it at the end, rotate slowly, moving through your comfortable range of motion. Same with the cup, frying pan, dumbbell, etc. These exercises are designed to improve your endurance. If you have stiffness or flexibility issues and want to stretch to improve your range of motion, I got you. This video right here is a 6-minute routine you can try right now.